If you've been waking up already tired, you're dragging yourself through the day, and then somehow still lying in bed wide awake at night, this one is for you. So, today we are going to be talking about something that I see all of the time in women who are dealing with burnout and chronic fatigue, and that is a flat cortisol curve. So I'm going to explain what it is, how it could be the hidden reason behind your all-day exhaustion, and what gentle steps can help you to start feeling like a real life human being again. Now, cortisol isn't just a stress hormone. It actually helps to keep a rhythm in your body. And in an ideal healthy pattern or rhythm, that cortisol tends to rise higher in the morning, which helps you feel awake, it helps you feel alert, ready to go, ready to carry on with your day. And then it gradually starts to taper off during the day so that your body can start to rest at night. And at night, it tends to be at its lowest point. And again, this is an ideal pattern or rhythm. But after months or after years of your stress response being overworked, of a dysregulated nervous system, that beautiful curve can start to flatten out. So instead of that clear go signal in the morning and a calm down, slow down signal at night, it tends to be really flat. And when that happens, your brain stops getting the cues that it needs in order to keep your energy on track. So here's what that looks like in everyday life. You are waking up feeling like you never slept. Coffee is barely moving the needle. By mid-morning, you have this intense brain fog that sets in. And then that afternoon slump between 2 to 5 p.m. hits you really hard. And at night, your head hits the pillow and then your mind starts spinning. And this is not just you being tired. It is feeling out of sync with your entire world. It's like your body doesn't know when it is supposed to be on and when it is supposed to be off, and that mismatch can be absolutely exhausting. So if you have tried all of the get more sleep tips, or if you are constantly reaching for caffeine or even sugar to function, this could be why. And the kicker is that most standard blood work isn't going to catch it, because typical labs take one single snapshot of your cortisol level. Maybe you get a blood draw in the morning, or maybe it's in the afternoon, but cortisol is rhythmic, right? We mentioned how it changes in the morning and the evenings. So it is changing hour to hour like a flowing tide. And testing it once at one single point in the day is like trying to understand the ocean by looking at it for 10 seconds. You are missing the whole story, right? Because there's an entire ecosystem in there. There's so much going on. And that's why in functional lab testing and functional medicine, we use diurnal cortisol testing, usually saliva or urine samples that get collected multiple times in a day. And that's how we see whether your cortisol is rising, whether it's falling, whether it's staying flat. And again, in a healthy rhythm, we want that big rise in the morning. It gives us that energy. And then a slow, steady descent by midday and its lowest point at night. So in a flat curve, it barely changes and your energy feels the same way. You have no energy in the morning. You have no energy at midday and it's often worse. And then at night, all of a sudden you have all of the energy in the world, but your body can't handle it. Your body's biology is talking to you. And the beautiful part about this is that once you start to understand the pattern, you can start helping your system find its rhythm again. So let's talk about what this flat pattern is really telling us and why your body might have shifted into it in the first place. So when I see a flat cortisol curve on someone's test results, I know one thing right away. And that is that their stress system has been working overtime for too long. Whether it's mental stress, physical stress, chemical stress, it doesn't matter. Their stress response is overloaded. And sometimes people call this adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout. And these aren't technically medical diagnoses, but they are ways of describing how your stress response has shifted into conservation mode. And the scientific name for what's going on is called HPA axis dysregulation. And again, this is just a fancy way of saying that the communication between your brain and your adrenal glands gets a little scrambled. It's not necessarily broken, In fact, your body is doing what it believes is going to keep you safe in that moment. It's starting to slow down. It's preventing you from burning out even more by conserving all of this energy. And alongside that all-day exhaustion, there are other signs that may be happening. So maybe it's harder for you to concentrate, to focus, to remember things. Maybe your tolerance for stress is lower and little things feel really big. Maybe you're feeling more sensitive to stimuli, so things like bright lights or loud sounds or crowded spaces. You might have these cravings for sugar, for carbs, for salty snacks that are extremely intense. And then you might be feeling emotionally flat or disconnected, or even swinging the other way, again, where you're very emotionally wired. And last, your immune system is likely slower. So you might be getting sick easier, or it takes a lot longer for you to recover from cuts and scrapes and bruises, from viruses, from illnesses, infections. And again, these aren't random annoyances. Your body is stretched. It is limiting its resources because it is in that battery saver mode instead of full power, again, because it's trying to protect you and conserve energy. So a flat cortisol curve isn't usually triggered by a single bad day or even a single stressful month. This is something that builds slowly and consistently, layer by layer over months or even years when your body isn't getting enough time or it's not getting enough resources to fully recover from stress. And a lot of the common causes that I see, again, we mentioned mental, chemical, and physical, but let's dive into these a little bit deeper. So long-term stress, things where you feel like you can never truly turn off. So maybe that is financial stress. It is stress from your work responsibilities, from familial responsibilities, or even relationships that end up being overwhelming. Chronic sleep disruptions. So maybe that's insomnia, maybe it's anxiety related, maybe it's related to nutrient deficiencies, maybe it's sleep apnea that's undiagnosed or untreated. Even caring for children or being a caregiver for another adult or someone who's disabled or elderly, or even working night shifts can disrupt this rhythm. And then we have blood sugar swings. These are a huge stressor as well on your nervous system and your adrenal glands. So when you skip meals, if you are relying on a lot of caffeine to push through, or if you are eating in a way that spikes and crashes your energy, so high carbs, no protein, no fats, that's going to give you a big uptick in your blood sugar, and then it's going to drop really hard. And then we have hidden stressors, things like heavy metal toxicity, mold exposures, maybe environmental toxins, gut infections that you didn't even know were there, or parasitic infections. I touched on nutrient deficiencies as well. So maybe you've been on a restrictive diet for a very long time, or even have malabsorption, right? So if you're not absorbing the food that you eat, that can as well lead to nutrient deficiencies, which can stress the body. And then if you have been someone who has been pushing through for years, so if you overwork yourself frequently, if you overexercise frequently, or you ignore your body's slowdown signals, all of this can disrupt that rhythm, disrupt your cortisol regulation, your adrenal function, and lead to what we call adrenal fatigue or HPA axis dysfunction. And by the time people come to see me, that flatlined rhythm has become their new normal, right? They can't remember what it's like to wake up feeling rested, and then they assume that they just have to live with it, and they feel like they're wit's end. So if you've been living this way for months, for years, it doesn't mean that you have failed at self-care. It means that your body has been protecting you in the only way that it knew how, and that is by conserving every bit of energy that it could. And the good news is that that rhythm can be rebuilt. So when you give your nervous system the right cues for your body to feel safe again, it can fix this. It can regulate that cortisol rhythm. So in the next section, we are going to start talking about some gentle, science-backed steps that you can take to begin restoring your cortisol rhythm. Steps that are going to work with your body instead of pushing it harder. So when you've been tired for a really long time, it is tempting to go looking for a magic fix. That pill that is going to work, that supplement that's going to work, a new workout routine, more caffeine, something to help you push through. But when your cortisol curve is flat, the answer isn't to push harder. That's like stomping on the gas pedal when the tank is empty. It's going to strain the engine. So your body needs to know that it is safe to shift out of that conservation mode. And safety is the signal that allows your stress response to start regulating again. And one of the simplest but most powerful signals that you can give your body is stable blood sugar. So when your blood sugar crashes, your body perceives this as stress. And that triggers the same hormonal emergency alarms that you are already dealing with. And if we try to eat every 3 to 4 hours, we're including healthy proteins for steady energy, maybe some eggs, some chicken, fish, lentils, beans if you can tolerate those, healthy fats for hormone support, so things like avocado, nuts, olive oils, and slow digesting carbs, so things with heavy fiber are going to help sustain you with energy, so sweet potatoes, oats, berries. It's not about having a perfect diet. However, it is about consistency. So the more you eat these balanced meals, the more you eat them at regular intervals, preferably around the same time each day, your body is going to learn to expect those meals, to expect that rhythm, so it knows how to kind of manage its energy in a different way. Plus, these specific foods help you to have steady energy because they prevent those spikes from happening in the first place. Now, your body's cortisol rhythm is tied to a circadian clock, and one of the most effective ways to reset that clock or that rhythm is natural sunlight. So within 30 minutes of waking up, try to step outside for 10 to 15 minutes, no sunglasses if you can tolerate it, and just look out around you. It doesn't have to be directly at the sun. Please don't do that. Just let that light hit into your eyes, okay? This is going to give your brain a timestamp and say, hey, it's morning. And over time, this helps your cortisol start to rise earlier in the morning so that you start getting that natural energy boost when you need it the most. Now, if your stress system is always on, your digestion, your hormone balance, and your energy production all take a backseat. Your body and your brain, your nervous system, they don't think those things are important, not in terms of immediate life or death survival. And that's why nervous system regulation is such a big part of healing a flat cortisol curve. So some options that you can try are some slow, intentional breathing. So inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 6, and just repeating that for a few minutes can help to start to calm that survival mode and shift your nervous system into that rest, digest, and heal. I also use a lot of gentle movement with my clients. So some light stretching, some yin yoga, maybe some slow walking for 2 to 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be super high intensity or even a long duration. Just gentle movement can really calm that nervous system and stress response. And then we have somatic tools. So things like body scanning, some gentle self-massage, humming, vagus nerve stimulation. All of these practices don't just relax you in the moment, but they actually, over time, retrain your brain to spend more time in that rest and digest mode where the real, true recovery and healing happens. And I know these might feel too small to make a difference, but in a system that has been overloaded, simple is powerful. You do not have to overhaul your entire life in a day, not in a night, not in a week. Just start with one of these and build from there. If you take anything away from today's episode, let it be that depletion didn't happen overnight. Your body has been protecting you in the best way that it knows how by slowing you down so that you don't burn out completely. And with the right signals, you can rebuild your rhythm, you can rebuild your energy and your trust in your body. So if you are ready to start that process, I would love to help you with this. Now, inside of our Nervous System Healing Code program, we focus on restoring your stress response balancing that energy curve and giving your body the safety cues that it needs to heal itself. And if you want a place to connect with others on the same path, join us in the Garden, which is our free Discord community where you will find office hours. You can ask me questions. We encourage daily conversation, support, and communication. And it's a space where you don't have to explain why you're tired because everyone gets it, right? We've been there. And you can find both of those links in the show notes below.